The depiction of disability in children's media has an important part to play in the education of children about the equality of disabled people. Away with the Fairies, Disability Within Primary Age Children's Literature, looked at 100 books aimed at children aged 5 to 11 and examined how disability was portrayed. A majority carried ableist views into the narratives, but some managed to promote positive and realistic views for children to learn from. I went to examine the first series of the children's book series Warrior Cats in the way it handles its disabled characters. Will kids that read those 6 books come out of it with more ableist views, or will they treat disabled people they meet better because of it? I will focus on 3 cats, Brightheart, Snowkit and Cinderpelt, as they are the main disabled representation within the books. Brightheart for missing an eye, Snowkit for being deaf, and Cinderpelt for limited mobility. Cinderpaw is introduced as an enthusiastic apprentice to Fireheart. She is excited to learn to be a warrior, and often rushes off without listening to her mentor's instructions. Cinderpaw raced past him and charged through the gorse. "I thought I said to follow me!" Her refusal to follow instructions is what leads to her getting hit by a car. Fireheart tells her to remain in camp while he runs 2 important errands. She wants to help by running a message to Tigerclaw. Her enthusiasm to help her clan causes her to run into a trap set for another cat on the road, and she is hit by a car. After she is shown to be healing well, the concern turns to her new lack of mobility. Whatever happens, Cinderpaw will never be a warrior now. This is emphasised repeatedly. She will not be able to do her job and serve her clan as a warrior. This leans into 2 ableist points. 1, that since she is disabled and unable to contribute, she will be a burden to the clan. And 2, that her own actions caused her disability, and it is a punishment to learn from. The narration follows Fireheart, and as such, we don't get Cinderpaw's perspective of this, but we do get Fireheart's. He blames himself for her injury, and feels pity and responsibility for her when he sees her. This narrative focuses on what could have been if Fireheart had taken slightly different actions, questions if her disabling injury could have been prevented. But this ignores the cat in favour of centering her injury, makes a spectacle of her disability rather than how she feels and what he could be doing to help the Cinderpaw in front of him rather than a speculative Cinderpaw that wasn't hit by a car. This way of thinking centres the disability over the person with it and shifts the reader's focus away from Cinderpelt and to her leg. If the children that read these books then mirror this behaviour in their life, they risk dehumanising real people and learning to see disabled people as their disability. As well as focusing on her disability, Cinderpaw is made to feel like a burden by the cats around her because of her disability. That's what Dustpaw said. He told me to go and hide with the kits. What good am I like this? I'm just a burden to the clan. In media portrayals of disabled people, a study in stereotypes, the authors talk about how some media shows disabled characters as burdens, and how this limits the audience's understanding that disabled people aren't just limited by their disability, but also from society. Most of the limitations associated with being disabled derive from society's response to disability. While it is true that disabled people have a range of special needs, the perception that they are burdens is engendered by the difficulties our society imposes on meeting their needs. The idea of Cinderpelt being a burden turns the reader to think of other cats helping her as a chore, something that is bothersome and unrewarding. This tells the children reading to also think of helping disabled people, and the accommodations that disabled people get, as bothersome and something to despise. If disabled people can't do everything for themselves, then they're a burden and a strain on society. The story eventually leads to her learning to become a medicine cat and helping the clan in other ways, but that still doesn't change that her disability was seen as a bad thing that made her life worth less to the clan. In fact, she has to become useful for the clan, and herself, to stop seeing her as a weak mouth to feed that needs protecting because she can't do anything. The treating of disabilities as burdens is seen with all the cats, and while Cinderpelt learns to be a medicine cat and enjoy the path her life takes, would she still have been treated well by the other cats if she wasn't able to contribute to the clan? Snowkit is introduced as a weak kitten who can't play correctly with the others, and it's suggested that the medicine cat check him over, to which his mother, Speckletail, responds with, "There's nothing wrong with my kit. Are you saying I can't look after him properly?" She knows he is deaf, and the whole clan knows after Cinderpelt announces it. The clan's leader then immediately decides he will never be a warrior, and Speckletail argues that he can be. She is the only cat who seems to truly believe this, with Breckenthur being at least willing to try, although this opposes him wanting an apprentice more than specifically believing a deaf cat can be a warrior. All of the clan is dismissive of Snowkit ever becoming a warrior, and treats Speckletail as a delusional mother desperate for her last kitten to amount to something. Brackenfur brings up his worries with Fireheart that she is trying to train Snowkit herself. Speckletail being unable to train her young kitten is supposed to prove that everyone else is right. He couldn't possibly be a warrior, and she is delusional to even consider it. No other option is considered for the kitten, he won't be a warrior, and really, the rest of the clan expect him to die. Another deaf kitten is mentioned when Snowkit is found out to be deaf. The other kitten died. He disappeared when he was 3 months old. We thought a fox must have got him. It's dismissive, and the only information we get about this kitten other than him being deaf is that he died young, so it seems the only option any of the clan cats consider reasonable for Snowkit is for him to die, young and tragically inevitable. This is, in fact, what happens. A hawk attacks the camp, and the other queens push their kittens into the safety of the nursery. Brackenfur pushes the elders to their den, and Speckletail comes back from making dirt just in time to see her kitten taken by a hawk. Brackenfur tries to pounce on it, then gives chase through the forest, but it is too late. It was inevitable. It's sad, and the other cats pity Speckletail for losing her kitten, but they all seem to have already accepted that he would die. But was it truly inevitable? What if the other queens had saved Snowkit when they were saving their own kittens? What if Brackenfur had saved him instead of adult cats who are at less risk from a hawk than a kitten is? We won't know because Snowkit's death was for the sake of pity, to make the readers sad that such a helpless creature must die due to the harshness of the wilderness. His death is just to show how dangerous the lives of these cats are. In A Way with the Fairies, the point is made that text that include the death of a disabled character perpetuate a tragedy model view of disability, and this lets readers view disability as some improbable but possible state of being to fear, instead of real impairments that people live with and could thrive with if given the correct accessibility aids. The only option for Snowkit being deaf also falls in line with eugenics thinking, that those who are disabled are useless and helpless, so should die. It's better for them, as they have nothing worth living for, and it's better for society, as we won't have to care for a burden. This is not a good message for kids to take away from reading, and in fact, promotes a lot of ableism in them. It teaches them to presume disabilities mean inherently that someone is worth less, and not consider what other factors may actually be stopping disabled people from being able to participate in society, like that deaf people need sign language and captions. They learn to presume that disability makes their life worse, a burden to others, and that death may be a better option for disabled people than living. This eugenics thinking is seen with Cinderpelt and Brightheart, as they're both only considered positively after they become a benefit to the clan. Although Brightheart could be seen to lean more towards exceptionalism, showing disabled characters as prevailing despite their disability. After she recovers from her injury that left her with one eye, she, with Cloudtail, works to figure out new ways for her to hunt and fight. Brightheart and Cloudtail end up creating fighting moves never seen by the clans before. While her learning different adaptations due to her disability is reasonable, the idea that they are able to create distinctly unique moves seems unrealistic to a degree that puts her as an inspirational figure because of her disability, rather than a multi-dimensional character that is also disabled. This is also talked about in media portrayals of disabled people as studying stereotypes. When they give a list of how to better write disabled characters, one of their suggestions is: avoid a plot that implies a disabled person needs only to have the correct will and right attitude to succeed. Young readers need insights into the societal barriers that keep disabled people from living full lives. Showing Brightheart succeeding because she managed to just get over her trauma and figure out new ways to fight and hunt despite her disability lets the writers ignore that they have made a society that disregards its disabled people. There is no help in place for disabled cats past that of being fed. Cloudtail is a single cat, and is the only one who helps Brightheart beyond basic survival. This individualistic approach for a solution allows for readers to not have to consider the need for societal support and change in order for disabled people to truly thrive. Like Brightheart, disabled people should just try harder to triumph over their disability. Cloudtail helping Brightheart is a good example to kids, however, as he never belittles her and sticks with her through everything and strives to create adaptations so she can participate within the clan like any other cat. These are good ideals and actions for kids to intake and potentially mirror in real life. He's the only cat to stick up for her when she's given the name Lostface by the clan leader. Other cats agree that it's a horrible and cruel name, but only Cloudtail refuses to use it for her. After she sees her reflection for the first time after being injured and apologizes for how she looks, he immediately defends her, calls her beautiful, and declares, "I hate that name. I'm not going to use it again." He is the only cat to outwardly deny calling her that after her disabling injury. Later, when Fireheart becomes leader, he changes her name to Brightheart, as a way to right the wrongs done by their prior leader. This is shown positively, and the rest of the cats in the clan are relieved to be able to call her a better name. But the idea that they must call her Lostface due to traditions holds strong, and traditions are never truly questioned beyond specific situations like this within a story. So, should a kid learn to treat someone better from this, or to follow the crowd in hurting someone else? The writers seem to think they are denouncing name calling with this, but are they? Firestar learns of the renaming ceremony from a cat who was renamed after her disability, One Eye, so called for having one eye, the same disability Brightheart has. In fact, there are many characters in Warrior Cats who are named after their disability or injury. Halftail, Running Nose, Deadfoot, Torn Ear, and Crooked Star. Crooked Star has the suffix star due to being a leader, but before that, his warrior name was Crooked Jaw. All of these cats are named after their disability, but unlike Lostface, their names are never questioned. What's different about Brightheart to these cats? They give an explanation by One Eye is, I was already old when they changed my name. I don't care what they call me, but it's different for a young cat. But this doesn't make sense with some of the other cats, like Running Nose, being relatively young as well. Narratively, the difference is that we get to explore the event that injured Brightheart and the trauma she got from it. The other cats have these names when we meet them. We don't get an explanation for many of them, and those we do get are brief, hardly worth thinking about. Yeah, Halftail can't balance and climb trees because a badger attacked him. This narrative difference highlights a double standard that the writers seem unaware of. They want to explore how name calling and bullying is bad. They want to use the name of a disabled character to emphasise this. They want to empower the disabled character with a ceremony to give her a better name, but they don't notice all the other cats in their story that go against this. It follows with Cinderpelt and Brightheart being injured and disabled, then overcoming it in some way, but Snowkit being in the story for the purpose of being disabled then dead. There is an unnoticed hypocrisy with how they handle disability. They want to set a good example to the children reading, while ignoring the bullying of the other characters and the eugenics of killing the useless deaf kitten. It sets the children reading these books up to learn the hidden biases of the authors, the ableist views they carry with them, even when the writers have so clearly tried to have good disabled representation. I can hope that kids take away the lessons of Cloudtail to help others when asked and stick with disabled people, even when others don't, rather than learning the lesson of Snowkit, the impulse to view disabled people as worthless burdens that would be better off dead.